I gotta say, I did not know that being 3-1 would actually feel this brutal. Okay, let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Spartan friends, Spartan family, hey, happy Saturday that we're having right here at Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white 5 days a week right here at the Locked On Podcast Network. Please rate, review, subscribe if you're joining the misery parade live right now on YouTube. Go ahead, comment your thoughts. My goodness gracious, no one has any shortage of opinions on that game. And well, obviously I'm part of that crowd here. We're going to get through it all. But again, rate, review, subscribe if you ever want to reach out. LockedOnSpartans@gmail.com if you ever just want to have a meltdown in that inbox. Okay, you know what? I'm going to try to start this rationally. Okay, which is, I'm already lying to myself because I'm very sad right now after that game. I can't put on a front or anything. Because if you told me before the season, with the over-under set at, 4.5 or 5.5, depending on where you got it, especially after watching Boston College look that good against Florida State, especially going into a game missing, 3 of your top 5 receivers, especially with, you're out, your starting right guard, and then the other starting right guard. It's raining. Okay, that doesn't suit your game whatsoever. You can't run the ball, and we saw that in spades tonight. Like, you were underdogs for a reason. Okay, you know what? Leaving Chestnut Hill at 3-1 should not feel like a fireplace skewer is sticking out of your back right now. But here we are. This sucks. Just look at where we've come from last year. Where were we at this point a year ago? Well, we weren't with a coach that was gainfully employed. It was a sinking ship rapidly. Whereas this year, hey, even with the loss, things already are looking a lot better than they were last year. So, God bless America. Why does it feel just so horrible right now being 3-1? Like, why are we all just emotional basket cases right now? I got to say, we'll start with this. It's looking ahead. I think a lot of it is because Ohio State and Oregon are on deck right now. Really helps to be 4-0 as opposed to 3-1 that is about to be 3-3. Okay, I'll spoil it right now. I know I'm wearing the Michigan State hat, Michigan State shirt. I'm inside of a green lit closet right now. I'm a huge Michigan State fan. I can't find a single cell in my body that can see a win over the next 2 weeks. So that's an automatic 3-3 right there. Damn, if you're 4-2, that looks a lot better going into the rest of your schedule. Maybe it hurts a lot because, you did shed the penalties. That was a big issue from the regime of the past that we are trying to scrub from Michigan State. Well, what crept back? All right, that really plagued Michigan State the last few years? Snowballing. All right, just letting piles and piles of problems compound on top of each other. You get out of the locker room at halftime, which we will talk about, of course, and my goodness gracious, just like that, you didn't put out a fire. No, instead, the flames were fanned, and it blew up into a Boston College lead early on in that half. But, of course, I think we all know why it hurt so much, because this game was very much in reach. Now, I'm not going to go as far as saying, Michigan State was the better team. They deserve to win. If this was a one-off thing, the 4 turnovers were a one-off thing, I would agree with that. Michigan State defense dominated Boston College on the offensive side of the ball. Michigan State, the pass game, it was fine. There were parts that were a lot better than Boston College. However, when turnovers are this deeply ingrained in your DNA, unfortunately, guys, that's just who you are as a team. We've seen it right off the jump, literally the first play of the game of the season, that turnovers are going to be an issue here. And I'm going to try to not overreact, because a lot of what we've been parading is, hey, be patient with Aidan Chiles, young quarterback, starter for the first time. He's almost too physically gifted for his own good, where he thinks he can make every single play. And let's just start right there, because Chiles is a big part of this conversation, guys. I mean, again, he's young. And maybe if you want to take the weirdest silver lining out of just this whole game, maybe, just maybe, this is a fortifying moment for him. A few weeks ago on the road at Maryland, my man had 3 interceptions, okay? Do you know what they did? they still won the game, which was awesome. Of course, we don't want to say, oh, you know what, they're better off losing that game. But man, if a lesson isn't learned after this one, all right, throwing again, 3 interceptions, well, then when will it be learned? I think that the kid is smart. We also see it in games too. He showed it this game where he had a really bad interception, then bounced back, really nice drive down the field. We saw that against Maryland. Like, the kid does have a good head on his shoulders in the art of bouncing back. Can he take it as a full game of screw-ups and realize that, okay, you know what? Maybe it's best just to throw the ball out of bounds every once in a while. Maybe it's best just to, loft one up to a wide open Montorie Foster instead of throw a 75-mile-an-hour seed out there when a defender isn't anywhere by him. Maybe this is all going to be good lessons moving forward, because let's all remind ourselves, this is his 4th game as a starter. That is still very early in a career. I know, and I'm one of these people too. I want things instantaneous, right? Like, that's what us millennials are good for, just expecting things to happen way too soon before the process plays out. So when I get comments about starting Tommy Schuster or emails about, hey, it's time for the Schuster era to start, let's take a deep breath, because this whole thing, the Jonathan Smith era, Michigan State rebuilding, is only going to work out if Aiden Chiles is the quarterback. That's a sophomore with at least one more year here. If he's a good junior, everything works out, he goes to the NFL draft after that, maybe even 2. All right. He's physically gifted. His ceiling is so sky high, and not to talk down on Tommy Schuster, who, by the way, 1 year of eligibility, I think he's pretty much hit his ceiling, and that's a guy that is accurate between the 0 and 10-yard throws. Yes, he looked good against Prairie View A&M. Going to put it bluntly, guys, think I could have looked good against Prairie View A&M. That's a really horrible FCS team, okay? Solid backup quarterback, no question about it. This whole ship is only going to go as far as Aiden Chiles can take it. All right, if we want to have a good 2025 next year, he's going to have to learn from these experiences. All right, he's going to have to grow into his physical traits and learn when to use them, when not to use them. But yeah, not to just, completely excuse his play tonight, because we have talked ad nauseum. My goodness gracious, if there was a bingo card of Locked On Spartans, the free space would be talking about, hey, growing pains for Aiden Chiles. There was one massive growing pain, but we'll get to that in a little bit. I just want to talk about something that's not a growing pain at all, just something that's just should be wrapped up by now. Especially what really frustrated me about the Montorie Foster overthrows today, specifically that one, I believe it was in the 3rd quarter, that should have ended in a touchdown pass. No defender, again, within a 20-yard radius of him. The frustrating part is that you're in a game where you're breaking into receivers, seemingly. You had 2 senior receivers eligible. Everyone else is a freshman. It wasn't even one of those freshmen that he wasn't connecting with. A guy that's only run 7 routes this year that he's trying to create new chemistry with. No, that is Montorie Foster. That is your top receiver. You should have established rapport with him by now. I know I may be contradicting myself, saying, hey, take it easy. It's still just 4 games in his career. But by 4 games, especially with your top receiver, especially with how open he is on some of these, I don't know if that's growing pains. So that, fine. I'll let you guys be upset about that. I'm a little annoyed with that. Very well may have cost Michigan State the game, okay? I think touchdowns are a little better than field goals in my opinion. But you know what? Nevertheless, let's move on here. The growing pain that has to come up with, or just has to be taken care of here. And I know this is such a casual take to take the most recent play that happened, the game-ending interception. But truly, that has to be the biggest learning moment, right? You are getting 12, 15 yards at a time with Jack Valling sitting down in the middle of the field during this game-winning drive. There's 40-some seconds left when that ball left his hand. Live to see another play. And again, I'm trying to be rational about this. I'm trying to, realize that he is a young quarterback. We are only going to go as far as he's going to go. Don't bench the kid, obviously. But man, 40 seconds left. You're in cruise control. Clock is not an issue here. No need to launch a ball into double coverage in the end zone, which, surprise, overthrown. And then, of course, a Boston College interception there. So in total, I know that was a rough game. Okay, obviously the last play of the game was on Chiles, and he had a lot of bad moments. But guys, I'm not out on him just yet because I think it is worth pointing out some good moments he had just to show the glimmers that hopefully are mainstays here, and those don't go away. We're trying to get rid of the bad stuff here. But look, after his first interception, great field goal drive where he avoided 2 sacks. Any other quarterback back there pretty much in the Big Ten, save for maybe 2 or 3, that's a 10-yard loss. He gets out of it. He finds someone, drive continues. Okay, the touchdown drive by Boston College, he responds. That 3rd and 11 scramble to move the ball down the field. And yes, he did miss another touchdown pass to Montorie Foster, but he bounced back from that to lead MSU down the field. So he can bounce back. Hopefully he could do it at the macro level of a whole game. But yeah, the micro level, that, of course, can use some work. Of course, we're going to talk more about this game, more blown opportunities, because, man, what a theme of that game. But, hey, first, America's #1 sportsbook. We are talking about FanDuel, and I made that weird noise, because, yeah, I do a sick little thing that you guys are going to hate. I hedge my happiness in games. I bet on the other team that Michigan State's playing because, well, if I got to see MSU lose, I at least want to be compensated for it. And, well, I got compensated by FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook here, gang. And, again, I don't feel good about that whatsoever. That's blood money. Anyway, guys, hey, NFL fans, let's start talking about a different kind of football here. NFL, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you could check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Hey, you know what? They're great for that in the golf season, too. That's the best golf app that I have, FanDuel. Anyway, you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just head on over to FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. Again, FanDuel.com. Oh, my God. This is so annoying. Should be happy about being 3-1 again. You weren't expected to win this game, especially when 3 of your top 5 receivers are out, especially when you're down an offensive lineman early, and especially when, well, your run game, you never, thought to continue that from 2021. K9 took that with him when he left for the Seahawks. You just can't simply run the ball. Anyway, this was a game where you just did not take advantage of opportunities, and of course, boy, what an opportunity that was when and this goes back to the first segment, talking about great things that Chiles can do. That last drive, or the second to last drive, the last scoring drive for Michigan State where they had to settle for a field goal, should have been a touchdown. He escapes pressure, dances around, improvises, finds Nathan Carter. Tough pass, would have been a tough catch, but as a Division I scholarship receiving running back, I expect that ball to be grabbed in the end zone for a Michigan State touchdown to go up 7 points. And that makes me absolutely sick to my stomach to say, because I'm the biggest Nate Carter fan there is, guys. Just whether it's on the field, whether it's off the field, the man is an incredible human being, voted as a captain for a reason, but that was a tough drop. There is no other way around it. Again, wasn't like it hit him in the chest plate or, a throw that you practice a lot and a catch that you practice a lot, but wow. Game altering right there. So anyway, speaking of taking advantage of opportunities, are actually quite the opposite. We already talked about the deep shots. The Montorie Foster one in the third quarter, that's probably your biggest blowing opportunity of the game. Brian Lindgren and company drew up a great route for that one. He was the only one on his side of the field. Okay. But let's actually rewind the clock back, because everything didn't just happen in the second half. The start of the game had a lot of opportunities for Michigan State that they did not take advantage of. How about the opening field position after 3rd and 3, or after the 3 and out by Boston College? All right, you're within your own 50-yard line, kind of sputtered there, settle for a field goal. Okay, very next drive, Boston College has the ball. They got 1st and 18, give it up immediately. All right, and then, well, hey, you know what? Boston College, they have the fumble right inside their own 10-yard line. You go 3 and out, give the ball right back to BC, and then, well, just Boston College, 4th and 3. Again, there was a lot of first half mishaps that you could have had, and no bigger one. And this is an issue about the inside run. If you want to know why I cry every single episode leading up to games about, we don't have an inside run. Yeah, I'm not just whining for no reason. We truly don't have an inside run game, guys. That was proudly displayed right there in the first half. Ball on the 6-yard line. It's 2nd and 1. Oh, man, we're about to go up 10 points on these Eagles, baby. Woohoo! Except you handed the ball off, and wouldn't you know it, you got detonated like a Lebanese pager right behind the line of scrimmage before, Carter could even digest where he is on the field with the ball in his hands. That turns into a 3rd and 3. They call a pass play. That doesn't work. Instead of a touchdown, bang, settling for a field goal. Oh my God, that will just drive you Looney Tunes. That, you know what, you're on your 6-yard line, 2nd and 1, a minute before halftime, you're up 10-6, and then in 3 minutes of game time, you're actually down 3 points because of, the K'Ron Lynch-Adams fumble in the end zone, and believe me, he made up for it. Like, he played outstanding after that fumble. Horrible. Like, I'm not calling it, a net positive of a game. No, that error that he had in the end zone was bad enough to make it at best a net neutral game for him. But that was I'm going to shock you guys here. That was really bad. That was. And then, of course, right after that, the snowball that we saw a lot of times in the last few years builds up. Chiles throws on the run side of Jack Valley, an interception, and then, touchdown drive right there. I don't think a lot of people have this take, so I'm not going to try to make this as like, oh, some big crowd was talking about this. I just saw like 1, maybe 2 comments about the defense, how they, did not play well today, and I really hope that everyone was watching the same game that I was today, because the defense played outstanding, guys. Like, I know that the last touchdown, not ideal. A little puzzling. Seemed like all game they had too high safety help, really limiting the massive explosion plays for Boston College. The broadcasting team was talking about that too, how they limited those chunk plays. And then for that one, you only drop 1 safety into coverage. And then, you know how that happens. He tries to tackle him. He slips like a cartoon character. And then, Boston College touchdown right there. Outside of that, though, defense played outstanding. They held Boston College to 3.5 yards on the ground, 5 for 13 on 3rd downs. We're not going to forget Jordan Hall's detonation of Thomas Castellanos on that 4th and 1 at the goal line, which drives me crazy that we can't talk about that play in the light of a victory. That was such a massive play, a massive stand for that defense. All for nothing. All for naught. That didn't really matter here. So it's just the defense worked great. They gave it 3 touchdowns at the end of it. One of them, they were given the ball inside the 40-yard line after that interception. That was after they just stepped off the field to hold Boston College to a field goal after Lynch-Adams fumble inside the 10-yard line. Like, if you have anything bad to say about the defense, you talk about nitpicking. Like, that takes it to a whole different realm right there. If you have any issues about today's game, it has to be on the offense. A lot of it can be on the quarterback. It's just, again, like okay, so I'm going to stop myself right now. I'm going to try to follow my notes eventually here, because I do take notes during games, as emotional and just erratic as this could all sound. Next up is just like, now what? And this circles back to what we just kicked the show off about, if you're tuning in late to this live show. Why I feel really bad about this game is, of course, it was in reach. Like, that takes up the majority of the pie chart. It just sucks that you get Ohio State and Oregon right down the chute. Like, this will be a 3-3 season very quickly here. Within the next, I can't do math right now, 13 days. You got the Saturday game at home against Ohio State. Woo, yeah, get up for that one. Guys, I don't know if you've ever listened to Locked On Spartans before. We've said this stat a few times in the offseason as it pertains to the Ohio State game. I just want to see MSU keep it somewhat close, and I know that sounds horrible that I'm just doing, hey, moral victory over here, but in the last 4 years, the average score at halftime against the Buckeyes has been 37-4. So, and I don't think many things are going to be changing. Maybe it's only going to be 28-10 at halftime this time around, but yeah, with the amount of times that you just shoot yourself in the foot, with the amount of people that Michigan State has gone, and Ohio State also rostering their team like an NFL team, that's not going to go well. 6 days later, you got to travel out west to play Oregon. So this is what, at the end of the day is going to keep me awake is, the game sucks, whatever, you could bounce back. It's the fact that you're going to bounce back against 2 teams that you will most likely lose to. I would love to be wrong. I would love to be so incorrect on this. I would love for all these to be clipped and tweeted out if Michigan State stuns the world and beats the Buckeyes or the Ducks. But, you're probably going to be upwards of like 28-point underdogs in both of those games. It's going to be a nasty one. All right. We're going to get your thoughts. We're just going to go down the list here. There are so many. We're not going to get to all of them, but yeah, I mean, it's only fair that you guys get to talk too. Enough just about my opinions, but first need to talk your ears off about the Game Time app. Now, let's say that you're a believer in your Michigan State Spartans. You want to go to Spartan Stadium next Saturday, and you want to say, you know what? When that idiot Matt is wrong about Michigan State beating Ohio State, I want to be there so I can take a picture of the field as Michigan State celebrates and rub it in his stupid face. Well, I'd love if you did that. And I'd also love if you did it on Game Time. Go find your tickets over at Game Time. This is the best app out there, guys. I will be talking about Game Time even long after this show exists. Like, it is just so easy. Even someone that is not technologically sound like me can figure it out. Okay, it is 2 taps sent straight to your phone. They also save you money. It is all about the flash deals over at Game Time. Whether it's 2 weeks out, whether it's a month out, hey, they will have deals for tickets in great spots with their flash deals. Or for last minute ticket deals, well, yeah, their last minute ticket deals are insane. Just walk up to Spartan Stadium next week. You don't even need a ticket in your phone. Open up your app, bang, you will find great seats at a great price with Game Time. Also, save money right off the bat. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is Game Time. All right, let's walk over to Twitter because I tweeted out, you know what, going live as soon as we can after the game, open-ended questions, thoughts on this game. And right now there is 105 comments from you beautiful people. I can see the YouTube comments right now. We're almost at 300. Yeah, this is a game that gets a lot of emotion out because right now we're just going to start with Matt over here. Chiles is him, but he's got to stop being a kid playing Madden. Every play isn't all or nothing. That's it. Like, I know this sounds so stupid and it sounds like I'm just defending the kid, but I think there is something to it. He is too physically gifted for his own good, and he is like, he can throw the ball that far. He can extend plays to the point where, like, it does get him into trouble. We saw it happen 3 times, and it should have been a lot more than 3 times if Boston College could catch an interception. Just more than 3 times. Anyway, Will, good old friend Will. That's right. Are you ready for MSU to play in some version of that game all year, excluding Ohio State and Oregon? You know what? I got to say, and it doesn't feel like it right now. It probably won't feel like this tomorrow. It might not feel like this until after the season. But at least this is entertaining this year, right? If not for nothing else, if you want to like go full optimism and go for full silver lining, at least this is fun football to watch, right? Anything can happen at any play in any offensive drive. The defense too, pretty stout. All right. Last year, I don't know if you guys remember. I don't know if you're one of the fortunate ones that have just absolutely deleted every game out of your hard drive. But even the wins just felt, oh my God, like pulling teeth. At least this is entertaining, I suppose. It's gonna lose you some games. It's also gonna win you some games too, just like Maryland. I mean, that game did happen. Yeah, Maddie just sums it up simply: beat ourselves, and that's the worst part about it. Like I would love to get up here and say Michigan State was the better team for sure. Like, no, again, their defense was better than Boston College's offense. They made Thomas Castellanos like into a nobody. But when you're this far into a season and you have at least 3 turnovers in pretty much every game so far, that's just part of your DNA. That is part of who you are as a team. That's not a fluke. That's just a feature, unfortunately. So, yeah, I can't say MSU was the better team because, well, they like to mash that turnover button a lot. Mitch writes in, it's an annoying loss given how it happened, but to be honest, we played an F- game offensively on the Played an F- game offensively on the road and had a chance to win late. Yes, K-Ron is absolutely RB1, and if the coaches can't see that, then it's a whole new problem. Gonna need to steal one of the next 4 because anyway. No, what Mitch is saying about stealing, yeah, that's that Iowa game. It doesn't become a must win, but you need to go in November with at least 4 wins because Indiana, that's a live team. Illinois, not sure if you saw their game Friday at Nebraska. That's very much a live team. Purdue, whatever. Okay. Rutgers, sure. Gettable. I would like to have the security blanket of at least 4 games there, so you just have to win 2 of them to make a bowl game. All right, now a little bit about that K-Ron Lynch versus Nate Carter thing. I'm pulling up the box score right now. It was, K-Ron Lynch Adams 15 carries, Nathan Carter 9. It has to be like that going the rest of the way. I know that I was a big supporter that, like Nate Carter, like he's the leading back going into this season. It'll be like a 60-40 split. Nathan Carter will have it. I'm ready to chalk that one up as a loss. I'm Ron. I'm not saying just erase Nathan Carter completely from this offense, but yeah, it has to be Kayvon Lynch-Adams. That's the guy that's giving you the most juice with the ball in his hand, making the most tacklers miss behind the line of scrimmage. So, yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Mitch there. And if you don't, I don't even know what to tell you. Sam writes in, now this starts optimistic. Hell of a performance on the road. Turnovers were the difference. MSU defense and running game were just good enough to win, but Chiles' inaccuracy cost them. Very bullish on the program and this team after that. Get some wide receivers healthy and let's go. I'm incredibly sorry it has taken me this long into the show to even bring up the Nick Marsh thing, the Jerron Glover thing. But here's what I know about that situation. Maybe you've read this by now, but at least for the few people that I've talked to, none of them expect any of those injuries to be long-term. Some are saying that Marsh can be back for Ohio State too. And yeah, you're probably sick of me talking about how little I think about this Ohio State game, but I'm going to be authentic here. I'm never going to, give you guys the runaround or say something I don't mean. If Nick Marsh has a knee injury and we have like important toss-up games at the end of the season, starting with Iowa, then you go to Michigan anyway, I don't know how I feel about rushing him back or even just getting him back just for Ohio State just to lose by 40 points. Again, I know that the locker room obviously thinks different. I know the coaching staff, if they even heard this, they'd make sure I'm blacklisted from even talking about Michigan State because that's just such cowardly talk. But what's the point of risking any further injury against Ohio State or Oregon? I'd rather just have him fully rested for Iowa. Again, maybe I'm just a bad fan, but apologies for being a little gun shy as a Spartan fan for season-ending injuries. But yeah, I kind of jaded by the last few weeks. I've seen a lot of guys go down and seen the realistic chance that you have the next 2 weeks. I just play it safe, keep him on bubble wrap, unveil him for the Iowa game. That's just all I would do. Anyway, Metaverse writes in, my thought is D'Antonio did so much to put this oh my goodness, the SOS to bed. This was an easily winnable game, but they went all SOS. It's definitely frustrating. We have a really good defense, but offense has to be better situationally, said Ken. Yeah, that's the one takeaway not the one takeaway. It's the biggest lesson that I hope is learned at the end of that game for game-winning drives. If you have 40 seconds in complete control of the momentum of that game, do not under any circumstance launch that puppy into the end zone with two defensive backs waiting to catch the ball. I'm not saying MSU guarantee wins that game, but boy, it's really hard to give yourself a shot to win that game if you're throwing another interception. All right, Connor writes in, QB play is getting too many excuses. Oh, he's young. Yeah, I hand up on that one, of course. Young quarterbacks can still hit one of the 3 wide open touchdowns he missed. Young quarterbacks can still know to not yeet the final ball in the double coverage when half your receiving core is out. Young quarterbacks can avoid throwing 7 interceptions in 4 games. I hope I've said as much. Look, there are growing pains, of course. He has shown some good moments as a young quarterback, but yeah, some of those just weren't even young quarterback moments. Again, I am so far from doing the whole Tommy Schuster thing or, you have to think about starting another quarterback like that. That isn't even a thought crossing my head right now, just to make that abundantly clear. So I hope no one is mincing any words right now. We'll get 1 or 2 more. Spartan City writes in, beat themselves in a game where Boston College did practically nothing. All Boston College's positive plays were Michigan State mistakes. Yeah, those biggest plays came in the start of that second half. Of course, you had Boston College treading for water in that whole first half. No pun intended on the rain, but sent them up inside the 10-yard line. Defense was great in only getting them 3 points, but then again called right after. Backs against the wall within the 40-yard line. Not great tackling effort on that whatsoever, but they played good enough the rest of the game where I'm not going to just pin the whole game on the defense there. Oh, man, this is just... It's been a while since we've done this, hasn't it, guys? Good old post-game losing show right now. We did a lot of these last year. You would think I'd be really well-versed and used to this after last year and even the season before that, but you know what? It stings. It sucks. As you guys can see, my beautiful scale-back hairline due to the damage Michigan State football has done if you're watching on YouTube right now. Oh, man. How are we going to land the plane of this episode right here? God, the YouTube comments are so overwhelming. I can't thank you guys all enough for watching and for commenting and for even spending some of your Saturday night just like this. So, God. We'll be back late Monday. Gary said, Matt, come on, we gave you or gave him the game at half. You could bench a player for a season for the fear of injuries. Chiles needs to see what elite teams are like to play against. You still play Chiles against Ohio State and Oregon. It's just like if Nick Marsh has a knee injury that they were worried about for this game, and I don't know the specifics of the injury, of course. Obviously, it's not a torn ACL. Otherwise, this next week wouldn't be. But still, again, maybe if Michigan State didn't already have 5 or 6 season-ending injuries, that I would be a little more relaxed about, the possibility of an injury. But no, I would make sure that knee is as healed as humanly possible moving forward here. So, if that's a full month break between games, so he's good for Iowa, that's fine. That's fine. I don't need this kid getting hurt, re-aggravating an injury as we're down 49-13 against Ohio State. That's I hope that, some of you guys are with me here on this one. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Always overwhelming to, hop on these post-game shows and see how many people actually listen. I thought it'd just be my mom listening, to be honest, but you guys are sick enough puppies to enjoy the misery party. For the first time this year, we've had 3 really good episodes, I think. The 3 victory shows. That was fun. Hopefully we get another one of those for the Iowa game. I don't know how to end the show. I've only done this 1,200 episodes. You think I know how to end this, but oh my God, that is such a stupid loss in a game they could have won. All right, guys, I'm going to turn this recording off, and then I'm going to stand in this closet in my basement and stare into the abyss for the next 3 hours. Love you guys. Go Green.